we talk about CIOs and CISOs, there's a lot of differences. I think first and foremost is our backgrounds. So most, or many, CISOs come from a more technical background. So they are math and computer science folks, they've been developers, systems administrators, and we find that many CIOs or IT leaders come from a more project management or business side. Sometimes they're MBAs or even come from a finance side. So right off the bat, we've got some differences in background, we've got differences in language and the words that we use. We've got differences in the way that we approach problems, and I think we've also got differences in terms of specific spheres of responsibility, whereas many times the CISO reports up to the CIO, and so the CIO might be ultimately responsible. That CIO has delegated that responsibility down to the CISO, so the CISO is focusing on how do we stop certain things from happening. The CIO is focusing on how do we make things happen like business. So this is where we've got to look at that, we've got to recognize these differences and then see how can we bring us together. Well, that would be the trick, right? So how do we bridge that gap and bring together? So first of all, it's a recognition of the problem, right? That's the first step, recognize that we have a problem. So to recognize, even in terms of a simple conversation, what type of words are we using to describe a problem? If we have to bring a new software solution into an organization, the security leader will use certain words like vulnerabilities and secure configurations and antivirus and agents, and the CIO might use other words like throughput and maximum access and uptime. So we got to recognize that these don't have to be mutually exclusive. These are things that we can marry together. And then ultimately for both groups, we've got to get back to the business and say, what are we trying to do here? What are we trying to accomplish? How does this project, this system, this application, how does it benefit the organization? And then the CISO needs to look at how can we bring in controls that are going to work with the way people have to do their business. We can't prevent people from getting their work done. We've got to be able to have controls that allow people to get their work done. So in terms of getting together and how we're doing as an industry, I think we're doing terrible as an industry. And I think a lot of this security needs to own this. A lot of this goes back to the CISO. The CISO traditionally has been back in the office, again, thinking in terms of what are the latest breach reports and vulnerability reports, and how can I lock down systems. The CISO needs to make that first effort. The CISO needs to get out of the office, connect with those leaders, and start to talk in terms of enabling business. I use the term security as an enabler, which nobody uses that term because security is not viewed that way. So we've got to get out there, start talking about how security can help business meet their needs. Then the conversation is started. And then we can continue the conversation with talking with folks about, well, so what are the deficiencies? Where is security difficult for you? What have I done as a security leader that makes it a little bit more difficult for you to get business done? Let's talk about that and let's find some middle ground.